guys. So my name is Terry Green. This is my husband, Pony. And this is my stepson, Jaden, or son, I say, both. And we're here today as a family. We loves each other. Doing good. Very happy.
My name is James Coulter. I'm a single parent. I'm raising my 3 kids. I'm a social worker here in Butte County. We've been in Butte County now for about 11 years.
Hi, I'm Bridget Cooper, and I live in Chico, and I live in one of the chat houses. I work here in Chico, and I also work in Orville. I'm a job coach, and I love my job. It's the most rewarding thing I've ever done. The best job I've ever had in my life. Actually, this is the best home I've ever had in my life.
My name is Maggie, and I just moved into my new home for me and my baby girl that's due very, very soon, hopefully this month. I am disabled. I live with a severe blood sugar condition, a type of reactive hypoglycemia, so I get really low blood sugar often, and Chat has enabled me to be in this beautiful home.
Thank you.
My name is Benson. I've met Chat 3. I was the first one here. Chat 3 is the 3rd chat house in Chico. There's over 325 people now being housed by Chat.
My name is Martha Patricia Silva, and I'm from Compton, and I've been in Chico 26 years, so I've been here most of my life.
In 2017, we used to live in Orville. I worked nights from midnight to 8 a.m. and then I went to school during the day. We lived down there in a house. My kids attended school. We had a problem with my wife at the time doing some things that she wasn't supposed to be doing. I tried to do everything I could to maintain a job and a house. I was told that I couldn't leave my kids with anyone at night, so I had to quit my job. When I quit my job, we became homeless.
I was like 5, 6 years old. I would leave the house and sleep in a neighbor's, yard during the night, so I wouldn't go home. I don't have the abuse, the cussing, I knew that if you wanted to be safe, you just run away.
Really, the downward spiral, I believe, through my experience, I know, starts with the addiction. When the addictions come in, it's a sickness.
From our experience.
And I can speak for myself when mine took over my life completely.
When I was 30 years old, I was diagnosed with my very severe blood sugar condition, and I knew I would be too disabled to work or drive for the foreseeable future, probably for the rest of my life. And at 30, that's a lot to take on. And I did not have good health insurance options. I was very scared because I was not finding appropriate health care in this area locally, and I was scared that I wouldn't find it. And I got married too quickly because I decided health insurance was the most important priority at that point. And I got married, and unfortunately I started being abused in that marriage, and I was financially dependent in that marriage, and it was a very difficult situation for me to eventually leave. I lost most everything I own.
I'm 17, and I end up marrying, oh my God, it's just, so I married my husband thinking everything's gonna be okay, and it's not okay.
I almost lost my life. I had a very severe medical crisis because I was left alone without help and without support and without resources by my now ex-husband, and it was in a very vulnerable, scary situation.
I've never felt really love from anybody. Like, that's just how I am. Like, I love people and I love, you know, having conversation with people, but I don't see like their love for me or what I have to say, you know. It's kind of depressing, and really.
The reason why I became homeless is I had my husband that passed away and left me as a widow. I wasn't able to make my payments on the house anymore, so I was under a lot of stress, and I actually had a mental breakdown. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I thought I was crazy, thought I was alone. It was very hard.
All my life I'd had manic fits and depression, and I'd gone between those two off and on, and then straight states, and I basically had no relationship or no job, lasted more than 2 years. And so I was hodgepodging through life, and then when I was here in Chico, I finally went over the edge, and I was out on the streets for about 3 years.
I became homeless, and I lived in my car for 2 weeks, something like that. I didn't want to tell anybody where I was embarrassed. I was also in psychosis, so I was hearing voices, seeing things. I had auditory hallucinations, visual hallucinations. It was the lowest point in my life.
For me, I mean, I've been an addict since I was 14 years old, you know, and I've been homeless as a teen, as an adult, as a young adult, you know, and, you know, that was the norm, though, for me. So I didn't know anything different. I came from a very poor background, you know.
That was my crazy life, living outside, living under, you know, under a bridge or everywhere, every single, I mean, I probably know Chico left and right because I was sleeping wherever.
I spent almost a month in the hospital. Physically, it took quite a while to recover. And then when I got out of the hospital, I had nowhere to go but the shelter. And that was another really sad realization. And as soon as I got to the shelter, I just kind of was looking for where do I go from here? How do I get from here to somewhere else?
About a week or two into living in my car, I had my little kitty cat with me, and he became sick. And I had to take him in, and at that point, I knew I needed help. The cat was sick, I was getting sick, I ran out of money, ran out of food. I wasn't on welfare, I wasn't on anything that I could get assistance. And I knew I needed help, so I walked into the local Burger King right next to my car and called 911.
When we first came here and we were homeless, like I said, we used to drop our suitcases and stuff off at the Jesus Center. We weren't allowed to, but Shelly is a childhood friend of like Terry, so she let us keep it in the back of her SUV.
Yeah.
But so Shelly introduced us to the original board members of Chat. And this was at the Jesus Center, and they told us, look, we're getting ready to have a house available. And we're looking
It's
for...
a new program.
It's a new program we're starting. And we want to interview you for it. And we were like, okay, this is it. You know what I mean? Like, And they interviewed us, and because we both worked, you know what I mean? We had income, we just couldn't get housing. They took care of that stuff, the reason we couldn't get housing. What they did was they made it possible in the areas that we couldn't, you know, and they had us in a month.
My case manager, Brooker, from behavioral health, he was the one that told me, hey, there's an application for an apartment, And then he said, you're gonna be okay. You're just gonna need to fill the application. And I was like, yep, that seems all right.
I went into behavioral health and stayed in their 24-hour unit, and then went into the Iris house and lived there for a month. After that, I was sent to a shelter, and I lived in a shelter. And I did live at the Jesus Center, and I had been calling Chat for a year, and there wasn't any openings. And it just so happened that I got a hold of Leslie, and Leslie talked to me, and she said, you've checked in every single month for a year straight. We'd like to give you a house. And I was overjoyed. And I got this house.
I was homeless and freezing. It was January, actually it was December, early December. And I had no prospects for housing. And then Bob and Leslie came back into my life, and I met them, and they were talking, and we were talking, and they were asking me if I had housing, and I said no, not at all. And Bob, I remember Bob taking me upstairs here, and it was, again, right then, it was like early or late December, yeah. And he goes, we've got a room for you, and this is your room, and I just couldn't believe it.
I spent about a month at the Torres shelter, and I did everything I could to apply for every resource available to me. And when Chat called me and said that they had a space in some shared housing, the idea of having a refrigerator space that I could get to anytime without asking for help, that type of a freedom was so amazingly, I just couldn't describe that feeling to somebody who's never experienced going without that.
That was the game changer.
Yeah, that right there was the game changer.
That was the game changer.
And then it took us a while to get on ourselves,
to get
straight
to
down,
stability,
not
yeah.
be up and down with our demons.
With our addictions, but
Yes.
we always had Chat there, though. See, in Sacramento,
Yeah.
we didn't have anybody. Even our family and everybody turned their backs on us and said, look, you ain't never going to get better, so it don't matter.
Which was understandable, because let me tell you something, and nobody want to put up with that for much
But
longer.
Chat did.
Yes, Chat did.
They cared, and they actually showed us, and it got us to where we are now.
Yes, they gave us that, and to get it together, yeah.
We left a bad living environment where a lot of sexually abused domestic violence was taking place. We removed ourselves from there, got associated with the Torres shelter, stayed there for a few months. I got associated with Chat while I was at the Torres shelter. After I gained employment, I qualified for a Chat house. They helped me move all my belongings from Oroville into a house here in Chat. They paid for everything. They provided us food and everything we needed, helped me with clothing with the kids. Whatever I needed, Chat was there to help me. Throughout the last 4 years with Chat, they have helped me tremendously. With my son's medical needs, I have a lot of expenses going out for his cardiology, taking trips to San Francisco all the time, Sacramento all the time for his heart. We've been low on some bills and, our finances for food, and Chat has helped us with everything that we needed so we can focus on the kids instead of, worrying about everyday bills.
It was an instant, welcoming, right then. And they're like, oh, hi, how are you, Martha? And I was like, wow, yeah, they were really, excited to meet me. And it's like, they didn't have to, they really didn't have to, but they did. They welcomed me, and it's like, I'm still here, so I'm still doing what I'm supposed to.
Besides saving my life, that was the biggest thing it did for me. The second biggest thing that housing did for me is it enabled me to get into services. I could get diagnosed. It took 10 years to stabilize me at least. And when I came here, it was just the harmony of the house allowed me, for my brain, I could just get in my room and I don't have any interruptions, and I could just let my brain reset itself. That's basically how the house saved me.
I knew I would need to find rental assistance in the long run. There's not a lot of places that would let me move into a situation before having that completely worked out. But because Chat opened that door for me, it gave me a chance to work on my health right away. And shortly thereafter, Chat gifted me a rental voucher that is a lifelong rental assistance help for me. And so my rent is just capped based on my income.
We've been living here at the house now for 2 years, and I was able to get a job. I was able to get stable enough to bring my daughter home. I had sent her away when I was living in the car to her older sister in Arizona, and when I got settled and went back to mental health and took care of my mental health and continued to pay my rent and started to work, I was able to bring my daughter home. So now I have a wonderful life.
Nothing that has happened to us would be possible. Like I said, everything Chad has done has filled the impossible that was in our life. The things the barriers we couldn't pass, they were the ones who got us through those every single time. And yeah, we are successful, and if it wasn't for our housing, there's no way we would be
Where we're at today.
We wouldn't be where we're at today, because we know when we go to work every day, and I mean a lot of work, a lot of hours, but it's okay, we like doing that. Knowing that we come home, and when we sit down in our home, which we have created a home,
Yes, we
when
love our
we
home.
sit down, this is what we work so hard for. We have a reason to do it.
Right.
We have something to work for.
My job and Chat combined has made it really nice that I can start saving up money, get the kids the things that they need, the nice pair of shoes that they've always wanted. They can actually afford them now. That we can actually go into the store and get something that they really want. Without Chat helping to get a house and my job, we would never have been able to get this.
To even think about the spots that I used to sleep on, you know, it's just like, really? That's how bad it was? And I didn't even think about it that way. I just feel that I just was wanting something different. And sleeping on the street, or no.
The night that I moved in, my 12-year-old son, Max, was able to stop by briefly and see his mom in her own house. And the look on his face and the pride from my little boy, who was just so amazing, that made everything feel like it was moving in the right direction and I was living my life the right way, because my son is proud of me. And he told me that. So that was the most exciting thing about getting into my place, is, you know, my son got to be proud of his mom, and he deserves that.